thank God we're going to talk college football now, right in the belly of it all, of this show. And I might add, Carver High, very important. Make sure you get the SportsGrid app on iOS or Android. You can listen to the network, watch the network on there. They got everything, odds, you name it, stories, highlights. You can follow your favorite hosts, and you can watch us on X at SportsGrid-Live. You're good to go with the SportsGrid app and streaming on X now. Very exciting.
It is very exciting for everybody indeed. And yes, little college football in the belly here as we get ready for another big week. We're turning the page to November tomorrow. We're less than a week away from the first college football playoff ranking. The Crack Crab and Lobster Committee's getting together on Tuesday, and they're going to give you their initial 12 teams. So things are starting to heat up. I do have one game for you tonight to start things off with. We love American Conference football. As we have that on a Thursday. Tulane, the Green Wave, at 5-2, heading down to Charlotte to see Biff Poggi and the crew, who are 3-5 this year. Tulane laying 14.5, 54.5 the total under the lights.
What could be worse than this game? I mean, this is as bad
the Jets
as Tuesday
and the Texans?
nights.
I don't know. The Jets and the Texans, maybe? I mean, that's pretty bad.
Listen,
too.
I think the Jets and Texans is better than this, head and shoulders above this. I got to be honest with you. I have no interest. I mean, listen, I've always said, if you can't name any player on either team, don't bet your money on it. It's automatic. You're going to lose your money. I don't want any part of this. I mean, Tulane's way better than Charlotte. The games, Charlotte's been awful, but they're at home getting a tutty and a hook. You know, if I had to, I'd lean toward taking those points tonight. But, you know, I want nothing to do with this.
Charlotte's been like a little spunky lately. Like they covered against Memphis last week. They beat East Carolina outright 3 weeks ago. They beat Rice the week before that. Like,
and give me Charlotte.
I might be stupid. I'm going to take the 14.5 with Charlotte. I'm going to take Charlotte tonight. I love that coach, Biff Poggi, that guy. So I'm gonna root for him tonight.
I don't even know who that is. Honestly, it is like that bad.
He's the guy that he was the former Michigan defensive coordinator for Harbaugh. And I only remember his name because 2 years ago when he got the job, we played a clip of him at the American Conference Media Day in the summer. And I don't know if you'll remember it or not. They asked like one or two questions to him. And he looked at the crowd, the media, and he was just like, that's it? That's what you think of us? One or two questions? All right, now we know how you think about Charlotte football. And he walked away. He's like a big dude with the gruff look. So I root for that guy. I hope he covers 14 and a half.
Yeah, I saw him today on TV, and he was eating food or something, and it was very exciting.
Yeah, our boy Biff Poggi. All right, games that are more attractive.
Who's the most famous Biff of all time, Carver High, from Back to the Future, Biff?
It's Biff Tannen. Biff Tannen from Back to the Future.
Can you imagine if we had all the results of every game from now until 2050, how much money we could make?
Probably wouldn't be sitting here. Nothing again. We love being here every day, but we probably wouldn't be here.
We love it.
Gray's Sports Almanac.
But we could be living in Costa Rica with the monkeys, and we could set up a satellite link, and we could still do the shows, and no one would know the difference if we had Biff's juice.
Gotta have it. That's for sure. Some will wish that they have it this week for this big Ohio State Penn State game, which is a noon East kickoff on Saturday. Everybody's getting all lathered up for this one. Ohio State. Now, these are all the numbers. You sent me all these numbers yesterday, and of course, we didn't have time to get to them. Ohio State has won 9 of their last 10 against Penn State. Ryan Day hasn't beat a top 5 team since September of 2022. He's lost 4 straight to those. James Franklin hasn't beat a top 5 team since 10-22-16. That was actually the one time he's beaten Ohio State. He's lost 10 straight. Franklin's 1-6 against top 10 teams at home. He's 6-9 against ranked teams at home. He's 1-9 against Ohio State.
Honestly.
Something's got to give here this week, right? For this guy Franklin, who everyone loves, James Franklin. Can this guy finally, they're number 3 in the country. They're undefeated. Are they going to finally get it done in their home stadium against the Buckeyes this week?
Well, I mean, their quarterback's injured. So, no. And I think that, what more do you need to know? 1-6 against top 10 teams at home, 6-9 against ranked teams at home, and 1-9 against Ohio State. It's kryptonite. He's doomed against this team. And then the kid, Howard, has revenge on his mind because he wanted to play at Penn State his entire life and they had no interest in him. And his entire goal in life now is to beat Penn State in this football game Saturday. I always love a guy that's got like something like that riding on the game. It's not a bet. It's not money. It's about you didn't even want me, and I'm going to haunt your ass. And during for Halloween weekend, are you kidding me? Like, let's go. And I hate Ohio State's guts, but I want to see that kid beat Franklin. I have no interest in Penn State.
I'm with you. The clip we played of Howard, where you could tell he's got a little extra gas this week against this Penn State team. That's more than enough for me to go after James Franklin, who I always love going after. So Ohio State minus the 3.5 is where I'm looking right now. The other big game at noon is Miami, who, of course, is trying to stay undefeated at home against the Duke Blue Devils. And on their sideline, Scotty, former Miami coach Manny Diaz, who went to Penn State after getting fired, was the DC there. And this year is his first season as the head coach at Duke. Doing a pretty good job, 6-2 so far. Here's Manny talking about heading back to Hard Rock.
I've grown. I'm different as a coach, as a head coach, as a man, as I was when I was at Miami, and certainly the program's in a different place by every metric from when I was there. So I'm at peace. I moved on. I mean, we still go down there. We have a place, not far from down there, and we're down there all the time. So, there are still people in the program, on the staff and players who I know and have a lot of respect for. But yeah, no different than honestly playing SMU last week with all the familiar faces on that. There might have been more familiar faces on in that program than we're going to play this week. So this is
you can't say that.
This is just right now. This is just trying to get our football team to play a better game than we played against a top team than we played a week ago.
Listen, he was doing really well until he said it's no different than playing SMU. Okay, yep. That's where this stops right here. That's the end of the conversation. Let's face it. Manny was in over his head at Miami. He was in over his head. He is a better coach now, I think, because of Penn State and the job he did there. And now he's doing a good job at Duke. And that's really who he is. I never thought, frankly, that he was a big-time coach. I think he's perfect for Duke.
I agree. And I think he learned some things at Miami as a head coach that he can now apply to a much, smaller place in terms of on the football scale. I think he's a hell of a coach. And I think that's a great spot for him. And he should stay at Duke in a long time and win football games. And I think he'll do just fine. I do have Cam Ward. I might save Cam Ward for tomorrow. We're playing when we come back as we get ready for that. We also, of course, have I thought I was running out of time. I mean, it's top of the hour. I thought that I was getting out.
I mean, I'm fine with you saving him for tomorrow because it's the biggest game Saturday for me is that game with Duke. You might as well save it for tomorrow then.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I tend to do this a lot, by the way. I do it more in baseball with the anytime home run, where I may play 4 players to hit home run. I call it covering the board. You know, if I take 4 players, bet the same amount on each, I only need to hit 2 of them and I win money.
He's already got, 438 rushing yards on the season. He's looking like the old LT days where the Chargers were able to have that strong, dominant running back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, so we got, it would appear to me, some racks of ribs here, a bevy of them.
Yeah, we do have a few racks of games for this week. And, of course, we'll glance at them again tomorrow before the weekend. But I want to quickly let you know what's going on because we haven't done that yet this week. Ole Miss visiting Arkansas in the early window in the SEC. Of course, they're road favorites. Army and Air Force. Army, of course, undefeated, laying 3 tutties and a hook. Illinois has Minnesota coming in this week to their place. We have Virginia Tech, road favorites at Syracuse. Vandy getting 7.5 at Auburn this week. I've seen Vandy play a bunch of games. I know you have as well. They have been a lot more competitive than Auburn has been in the SEC. I know that.
I mean, it's tough to play at Jordan-Hare for sure, but they're a better team than Auburn, and you give them a 7 and a hook, I'm interested. Same as Arkansas in Fayetteville. They have been a cover machine this year for bettors. That's all there is to it. Now, I think Ole Miss is a better team, but, we've seen really good teams go to Fayetteville and lose. They don't Tennessee. They went there and lost. I think Army's going to spank Air Force. Air Force is 0-7 against the number. They just get killed every week. I think Illinois finally gets on track in Champaign. I think they'll beat the Gophers. Bielema will win that game. I think Cuse has got a really good shot in this one. I know they've been disappointing at times, but I like Va Tech when they play at Lane Stadium, and otherwise I'm not interested.
Yeah, I'm not interested either in them on the road. I kind of like Cuse there. Big game in the Big 12 because Iowa State is still undefeated in the Big 12, and they have Texas Tech come calling to Ames this week. Indiana, there they are. We've talked about it a lot. 7.5-point favorites in East Lansing against Sparty. Kansas State laying 12.5 into Houston. Arizona State, a road favorite in Oklahoma State. And Texas A&M, a road favorite into Columbia against South Carolina. A lot of road favorites here on the board.
Yeah, there's a couple I'm concerned about here. A lot of people, a lot of sharps are on South Carolina to knock off A&M. I'm not buying it. I think A&M's better than South Carolina. I think Arizona State's starting to back up against the Pokes in Stillwater. I'm on the Pokes. Kansas State couldn't cover against Kansas. Now they're going to go, kick Houston's ass? I'm not feeling that either. And Indiana should handle their business in East Lansing. It's tricky with that hook on that 7. And I think Iowa State will beat Texas Tech in Ames and handle their business.
And final one I have for you today, night games here. Louisville visiting Clemson in the ACC. Clemson, of course, undefeated so far in ACC play. They are favorites at home. You have Wisconsin and Iowa under the lights. Big Ten, Iowa -3.5. USC's 2.5-point favorites at Washington. Tennessee laying 16.5 against Kentucky. And Baylor -3.5 against TCU.
Well, look, I like Baylor at home. I think Kentucky will cover that number in Knoxville, believe it or not. They have been awful. Stoops is in trouble in Lexington as far as I'm concerned. So I say they show up for this game for him against the Vols like Florida did. Florida went in there and took them to overtime. I think Washington will beat USC in Husky Stadium because USC stinks. Iowa, they don't have McNamara. I still like him in Iowa City over Wisconsin, believe it or not. And I think Clemson's going to clock Louisville at Death Valley. I think they're going to clock them by 2 tutties or more, 17 points.
I'm with you on that. I don't think Louisville's that great. You mentioned McNamara. He's in concussion protocol for Iowa. Brendan Sullivan will start against Wisconsin
Take the under
this week in that game. Yes. Michigan quarterback Jack Tuttle retiring from football after his 5th concussion. So at the college level, Tuttle says no more. He is finished. The Big Ten taking no disciplinary action in that Michigan State postgame skirmish last Saturday. Let them play, they say, at the league office. No big deal.
Stomp a coach's head in and get away with it. Nothing happened either. And what happened with the tunnel a couple of years ago? We're going to threaten you with jail time, and then nothing happened there either.
The cops.
Nothing.
Yeah, they had. It's like Missoula said, let them fight, in the NBA. Missoula said, just let them fight. Keep fighting in the game. Who
they
cares?
Want anyway, right? Like in rivalry games, that's what they want. So give them what they want.
Give them what they want. The Florida-Georgia game, which, of course, is this week in Jacksonville, the world's largest cocktail party. I know we're not allowed to call it that, but we do. They will have a new home for 26 and 27. They'll be in Atlanta in 2026. They'll be in Tampa in 2027. That is because they are doing all those renovations at Everbank in Jacksonville where they usually have the game. I know the Jaguars are going to have some problems those 2 seasons as well in terms of playing at some other places.
Go to London.
Go to London and stay there. We say about the Jaguars. Just go to London and stay there. That's what we need.
It is amazing how bad they are, isn't it?
It is amazing how bad they are. For the college football playoff, the 4 teams that get the bye, and of course are going to play in the big bowl games. The SEC champ will play in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. The Big Ten champ will be at the Rose Bowl. The ACC champ will be at the Peach Bowl. And the Big 12 champ will be in the Fiesta Bowl. That has been decreed by law, Scotty.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it really does. I don't have a problem with that at all. That's what the Big Ten always did, was play at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. I got no problem with the ACC in Atlanta and the Peach Bowl. That makes, territorially speaking, sense. And then Big 12 is out there. Why not play in the desert?
The only fan base I saw grumble about this on social media yesterday was the Georgia fan base, because they say if Georgia's the number 1 overall seed, why shouldn't they get to play in Atlanta? Why do they have to go to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans? So that was the one team I saw grumble.
The Sugar Bowl's been in the Superdome since before Christ.
They get all the big games in Atlanta. They play the SEC title game
Super
there.
Bowl,
They play plenty of big games in Atlanta. They can go to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl in the college football playoff. They'll be just fine.
We'll be in New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
You will. You will be there. It'll be fun.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class at the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. What is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, let's talk about the NBA. Had a pretty good night overall betting in the NBA with a couple of those covers and upset spread hits.
Yeah, there was a bunch of upsets in the NBA last night. Let me give you a couple of highlights. The Cavs smashed the Lakers, 134-110. I saw Bronny get some burn in that blowout in the last couple of minutes. I think he had his first bucket in the NBA. So
why
congrats
is it that every time he does something, they have to have a father-son press conference?
Stop the presses every time that he does something. I'm surprised.
And he left with the net. He cut the net down after the game, like he won the NCAA championship. Yeah, he took the net with him home.
Cut the net down?
Yeah.
Come on.
I swear to God.
It's too much. It's too much. The Pacers were crushing the Celtics, and they let them back in the game. They came all the way back, got it to overtime, but the Pacers still won by 3. The Knicks beat the Heat in Miami. How about this game from Cat? 44 points, 12 boards. He had a bunch of threes. That was the first vintage Cat game in a Knick uniform last night, Scott.
He's capable of it, right? And that's what they got him for. And to shoot from outside, he can chuck it. And I thought in the Pacer game, Siakam played great.
Yes, Siakam was excellent in that one. Speaking of excellent, how about Dennis Schroeder with the Nets in their win in Memphis? 33 points. He hit 6 threes. He had 8 dimes. He can play when he gets burned,
I had
right?
a prop on him over 20, and he had that with 30 minutes left in the game.
That's the way to live. When they hit with that much time left, it's always a good thing. Marcus Smart left that game with an ankle injury for the Grizzlies. Desmond Bane left with an oblique injury. It must be the regular season. The Grizzlies are losing all their guys.
Well, is it amazing to you, seriously, that Marcus Smart's career has gone to the toilet since he went to Memphis and left Boston? He never had these problems in Boston.
No, he has no juice anymore. He used to have juice in Boston somewhat.
He's a ghost.
He's got no juice anymore. It's all over for him. The Thunder beat the Spurs 105-93. Warriors beat the Pelicans again. So back-to-back nights, the Warriors beat the Pelicans.
Both games.
And how about the Blazers beat the Clippers and the Pistons beat the Sixers in both of those upset games that you had there. Only 4 games tonight in the NBA. Let's start in Memphis with those Grizzlies. We just told you they got all kinds of problems in terms of missing guys. The Bucks are -6 on the road tonight, and they haven't looked good either. The Bucks, they're off to a shaky start. 231.5 the total.
Well, they look good tonight. I bet them against Philly, so I'm going to bet them again tonight in Memphis off Beale Street with Bane out, etc. I like Dame time and Giannis to get it done.
Houston beat Dallas. Houston's playing Dallas tonight, in Big D. -6.5 for the Mavs. 226 flat the total.
Well, I got to be honest with you. The Mavericks look unbeatable, especially in Dallas. Like they're playing every night. They're winning. Home, road, doesn't matter. But particularly at the AA down there, between Kyrie, Luka, and Clay, they look like very formidable to me. I think they'll cover tonight and beat Houston.
San Antonio into Utah tonight. Haven't really seen much from Wembanyama so far. Maybe he can get jump started. They're 1-point favorites there in Utah. 221.5 the total.
Yeah, I think they've looked sluggish to me at best. I'm going to go, and I hit this Utah team the other night when we bet with them. I'm going to take them again tonight in Salt Lake Shakers with you-know-who and scoring all them points for them, the white boy Rick. Your boy can get it done.
Yes, he absolutely can. And finally, the Suns. Markkanen. The Suns are in L.A. again against the Clippers. They were there last week for opening night, so a return trip already for Phoenix into the Intuit. They're 4.5-point road favorites, 221 the total.
I mean, honestly, like, are they ever going to win in their building? I mean, honestly,
No.
Can they cover it tonight at least at home at the Intuit in Inglewood? I mean, honestly, for $2 billion, can I get a dub?
I think it's a big Booker night. I got a feeling for Booker tonight, Scotty. I think the Suns smash City against the Clippers. I think the Clippers are just they stink. I don't think they're very good. I mean, they lost to Portland last night. They lost to Portland at home. Portland
at home. They lost to Portland, and I had Portland and hit the bet, and then so now tonight I'm taking 5 of them. Honestly. You play every game at home in their new fancy building, and you can't cover at least.
Can't cover.
I mean, come
Done
on.
An awful job. Awful job. Hockey in leftovers tonight for the hockey.
I'm excited about that. I really am.
Yes.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class at a Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
One of the best running segments in television history is Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider with Uncle Futrelli, every week hitting it on coast to coast, talking about Pain Day and doing Bust a Cap in Yo Ass. Very popular. He's been covering the NFL for almost 30 years. You can follow him on X at Kaplan NFL, and he's styling again today with us from Philadelphia. Who I might add, I did mention today, Adam, that, and I'll just say this briefly, that I like the Eagles' chances with their odds in the NFC to be a dangerous customer come playoff time. I put them in a body of teams that have a legitimate shot with the Lions, the Eagles. I still have the Vikings in the mix there because they gave the Lions all they could handle. And I even gave Kirk Cousins a shot because I think they can win that division. But let's start tonight with the Thursday night game at JetLife, of course. Aaron Rodgers, the longest losing streak of his career at 5 games, going at it tonight against the Texans, who are 6-2. And stop the press. The Jets went from 1.5-point favorites to 2.5-point favorites. You can't even explain it.
It's crazy. When I started getting information on this game this morning, so they were -1.5. Over the last 4 hours, they went to 2.5. That to me is crazy. I get it. It's a national game. It's on Amazon. You know, you got the hype on the game because it's a New York team. It's in a big market, so people are on the Jets for some odd reason. Their all season comes down to this. To have even a remote chance at a wild card, they got to win this game tonight. And let's talk about those Jets. So Aaron Rodgers got the 2 injuries. He hadn't been playing particularly well. Talking to the Jets, their issue on offense is they're moving the football, but they're not closing. Something seems to happen, a penalty, a missed pass, or timing. Something's off with the red zone offense. And by the way, they're going to have a new kicker tonight. Greg Zuerlein went on IR. That's a problem. He had not been kicking great. So there's something off with this offense. You know, what's interesting, Scott, I was talking to Kerry Rhodes. You might remember him, former safety for the Cardinals and Jets. And we were talking to Fox Sports Radio over the weekend. And we were just talking about what's wrong with the Jets. And he said, look, I could just tell watching on TV, there's something wrong with the camaraderie, the chemistry, the energy of the football team. You could usually tell, Scott, when guys are pulling for each other, there's just something wrong with this Jets team. They should be way better than they are. They've severely underachieved. The Son Reddick trade, you know, he's only played 1 game now. They've got a chance tonight. We'll get to the Texans in a second. They got a chance tonight against a Texans team that's got major injury issues at receiver. This is a game that you would think they should be able to win, but how could you count on the Jets at this point? I don't think anyone can.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And the fact that they have no safeties, they got all these backups playing. Yeah. They never win. They never close, as you mentioned. This guy, Aaron Rodgers, people talk about him like he's the guy that won the Super Bowl or 4 MVPs. He is so far removed from being great, it's not even funny. All he does now is dink the ball off underneath.
Yeah, they're not. You're right. They're not driving the ball downfield at all. Garrett Wilson, you talk about him, who's very talented. They need to get the deep ball back. Alan Lazard, who had come out of nowhere to revive his career with Rodgers, he went on IR today. So look, their hopes of being a wildcard team are really on life support as we speak. Now let's talk to the Texans, right? Nico Collins remains on IR. He's eligible to start practicing next week. He's got the hamstring injury. He's their number 1 receiver. He's physical. He could get downfield. They've missed him. Now you take Stephon Diggs as their move receiver, their Z receiver. You take him out of the lineup. Tank Dell will probably see his spot. They're going to have to go receiver by committee. This does help John Mechie, though. Remember the former second-round pick who had the illness a couple years ago? And Robert Woods, he'll get back in the lineup. They're going to have to go with a wide receiver by committee. We saw last week more 12 personnel, which means 1 back, 2 tight ends, and 2 receivers. And the other thing is they're not scoring. They're having trouble moving the football. And Stroud's numbers were horrific last week. I mean, really bad. So that is why people think this game will be close and probably the game won't be high scoring at all. I don't see how it would be. But, yeah, you got a team like the Texans now still going to win that division. And, by the way, 2 things might happen after this game. The Texans, who have the best depth at receiver, they've got to get in the trade market here. They've got to look at it. And the Jets with Mike Williams, that's a guy who could be moved within the next week. And your Steelers, I know, have some interest in that player.
Yeah, I have no interest in him. I don't understand how anyone has interest in him because he stinks. He has been a terrible pro. That's all there is to it. And what I'd rather hear from you is I don't want anything to do with him. And I'll tell you what, the thing that interests me is that Houston game next week against the Lions on Sunday Night Football in Houston at NRG. Now, that's a game.
It is. Now, the Texans have to figure out some way how they're going to move the football. They're not hanging with Detroit. Detroit, by the way, Detroit's a really good road team. They're the NFL's best in my power rankings. They are the number one team. They're really hard to beat. I'm surprised that without Hutchinson, they're still playing really, really well in defense. But when you get to this game tonight, again, probably very low scoring. I'd be surprised if either team scored well over 20 points. I just don't see it.
Oh, my God. I hope it's better than that fifth inning and eighth inning for the Yankees last night. Watching that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Now I got to see a crappy football game tonight. I'm not having it. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson. I made it very clear on this show why he got benched. One, it's because he quit in the middle of an NFL game and said he was tired and needed to go sit down and have a drink. That's why he's been benched, because you can't have that from a 22-year-old top pick quarterback who has done nothing but get injured, and then he quits on his team. Are you kidding me? Why? He doesn't understand why he got benched. I said today already, how stupid are you?
Let me tell you something. From covering this business for decades, if Richardson started this week, Shane Steichen, their head coach, could have lost the locker room. I'm telling you. That'll never go over well with veteran players. I get it. I know they're not happy because they've got that quarterback carousel, which DeForest Buckner talked about. But the bottom line is you can't do that. The quarterback is the leader of the football team, okay? Not just the head coach. It's the quarterback. They look to the quarterback to get the job done. And by the way, Richardson, after that great start last season, he was great before he got hurt with his shoulder. He's been awful this season. That's the other part of this what people have to understand. He struggled mightily.
Awful.
But you can't check out of a game. That's inexcusable. Now, the book on him from a scouting standpoint, very talented but immature. That's just what you just saw it last week. He's got to get it. Talk about not getting it. Now he's going to get it off the sidelines. Joe Flacco will start the rest of the season. How about this story? From talking to people close to him, he didn't have an offer from another team, Scott. Not one, to even be a backup. How ridiculous is that? Flacco's better than half the starting quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, hands down.
Listen, Joe Flacco, in the game against Jacksonville, the two tutties he threw to Pierce late in the game in the fourth quarter to get him back in the game were so just brilliant passes. It was unbelievable watching. I cannot believe they actually lost that game. The way he brought them back in that game and got them tied, and then they give up the late field goal and lose to that crappy team. I almost fell over. But let's face facts. Flacco, whenever he plays, whether it was in Baltimore, he won a Super Bowl ring. Whether it was in Cleveland, he was phenomenal. You think Famous Jameis was good last week. This guy Flacco did it for like 10 weeks and took him to the playoffs. He was incredible. And he is just really a smart, veteran, savvy, arm-throwing quarterback, as good as they come in the NFL. He's the best backup in the entire league.
Scott, he's got the strongest arm I've seen live. I've covered Joe since his days at Delaware. Saw him play at Villanova in the fall of 2007. I was on the field. It looked like an absolute cannon, and he's still doing it at 38 years old. And by the way, he's a really good athlete, better than you think. He could still move. And this is a guy, you mentioned it, he put the Browns on their back last season to make the playoffs. Yes, it ended in Houston, but he brought them back to somehow get in the playoffs. He could get them to be a wild card. There's no question about it. This is a move they had to make, and I'll say this about Shane Steichen. He was decisive. They're not going to back to Richardson unless Flacco gets hurt.
Oh, I think Flacco's so much better than Richardson. It's not even funny. When we get back, we're going to cover some injuries and plus the cap in your ass. Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those two games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion. before those two games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a sixth-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, we're talking to Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider, and what we do now is we do key injury updates and lineup changes in a couple of premier games. One is Broncos-Ravens. We'll start with that, and then we'll end with Lions and Packers. Then we'll do Bust a Cap in Your Ass. So let's start with this game, Broncos-Ravens in the Charm City.
Yeah, and boy, who you said premier game. Who would have thought to start the season? I'll admit it. I didn't see this. I thought to be a 5 or 6 win team. The Broncos already have 5 wins. Bo Nix playing well all of a sudden. Another reason why, Scott, they have a winning record, they're healthy. The Broncos are one of the healthiest teams in the National Football League. But the big thing with the Ravens is Lamar Jackson missed the last 2 practices. My understanding is they're not overly concerned right now. Let's see what happens tomorrow. He's got back and a knee problem. Josh Johnson, the 38-year-old well-traveled quarterback, would start if he can't play. Marlon Humphrey, their best corner. He got a little bit of work in today. They're optimistic he'll be able to play. And then there was something strange. Marcus Williams, their starting free safety, was benched last week. John Harbaugh will not go into what happened, but he was benched. The Ravens have right now the worst graded secondary in the National Football League. We'll talk more about the spread later. How in the world the Ravens are a 9-point favorite is beyond me. I don't see it. I think we'll see how the game plays out, but they should be more. It should be more 6 instead of 9.
Well, I got to tell you, when they lost and the Bengals lost, it really opened the door for the Steelers. They got it done on Monday night against the Giants, and they got a 1-game lead, and they're going into the bye. They come out, they play the Commanders, and then they play the Ravens on the 17th, and I'll be there for that game. That's a big advantage for the Steelers. And their offense is clicking. They're spreading the ball around. They're scoring. Their running game, Najee, 300-yard games in a row. Their defense, their pass rush is sick. They got Sutton back. I think they're a dangerous team right now. And their odds were at 14-1 in the AFC right now. That'll change if they beat the Ravens. We mentioned that earlier. Let's talk about the Lions and Packers now. The said Lions, the most dangerous team in the NFL.
Yeah, and I know Jared Goff didn't work yesterday, on Wednesday, but he took all his reps today. He'll be ready to go. But let's go to the Packers, where Jordan Love with that, it's his left groin, right? He got hurt early in last week's game, and then he tried to push off later, and it didn't work. But he got some work in today. They're optimistic he'll be able to go. Josh Jacobs got some time in today. The big injury on defense, Jair Alexander, their best corner with his knee issue. He's missed 2 straight practices. He's had a lot of injuries the last couple seasons. If he does not play, this severely impacts the matchup. But the big one is with Jordan Love. See, Scott, here's the deal, right? The Lions are 3.5-point favorite. If Love could not play, I would make the Lions a 6-point favorite. Malik Willis is a very, very limited quarterback throwing the football.
I'm not going to argue with that. I know that LaFleur has bragged about his feet and his ability to get out of trouble and that he's done well and all the rest. But that game is very interesting with Love. And even with that hook on that 3, makes it very interesting. Like the Lions had to work to beat the Vikings in Minneapolis. I think when they play them again at Ford Field, it might be a little different. Let's do bust a cap in your ass now. Fans clamor for Adam's pick. He's been on a roll the last 4 weeks. We'll start with the 1 o'clock games. Dallas in Hot Town at the Benz against Cousins. Atlanta's laying 3.
Micah Parsons still not practicing. You mentioned Atlanta. They got a big break with the Bucs, all their injuries at receiver. Like the Falcons to take care of business, not only win it, but cover the number.
You like Denver, it sounds like to me, with that 9 spot at Baltimore.
I do. We'll find out next week if I was right. But the Ravens should not. They're way overinflated. I like the Broncos to cover that number.
I think the Broncos' defense has been spectacular. Surtain's a badass. Yep. And I think Bo Nix has done a really solid job. And the way they've won on the road, 3 in a row on the road, is crazy. Miami's in the below against the Bills. That number up to 6.
Yeah, and I'm at Miami, boy, what a choke last week. They might be in the selling mode if they keep losing when we get to the trade deadline next week. But Buffalo playing really efficient football right now. They're healthier than Miami is. Miami's got problems with injuries on defense. I like the Bills to cover this number.
Bryce Young at home getting 7 against the Saints. It looks like Derek Carr's back for New Orleans.
Yeah, with the oblique injury, he's training better. What a slop fest. Bryce Young had 1 good quarter. He looked great in the first quarter, then regressed last week against Denver. Boy, talk about ticket broker's day off in Charlotte. I got to pick a side here. I'll take New Orleans just because they've got more talent.
And they've lost 6 in a row. Vegas is in the jungle against the Bengals. It's 7 Cincy laying, and Vegas loses every game, but they keep covering.
The Bengals were terrible last week. Their defense was soft. They were not aggressive. They gave Jalen Hurts too much time to throw the football. Gardner Minshew's got to stop turning over the football. They're another team that doesn't have a lot of talent. I expect the Bengals to finally start playing better at home to cover this number.
The Chargers are in the dog pound against famous Jameis. Cleveland getting 1.
I like Cleveland to win this game outright. Jameis played great last week. Great win. And you know what? If they could win this week, they could start eking up to a potential wildcard spot. I like the Browns to cover this and win it.
Washington visiting Snoopy and East Rutherford against the G-Man Big Blue. Washington's laying 4.
Wish it was 3, but I like Washington Daniels. I know they didn't play well in the second half, but they got the job done on a miracle. They're a great story, another great surprise. I like Washington to cover this number.
All right, real quick, New England at Tennessee at Nissan. Tennessee laying 3.5.
I like Tennessee to cover this number. I'm expecting better quarterback play this week.
Chicago at Arizona in Glendale, and Arizona's laying 1.
Like Arizona to win and cover this game. Chicago worries me with their secondary.
Oh, and the meltdown with the Hail Mary. Will they recover from it? Jacksonville's at the link against Philly. Eagles are hot, laying 7.5.
Yeah, and the Jaguars are reeling. All sorts of injuries on offense, offensive line and receiver. I like the Eagles to cover this number.
Detroit and Green Bay at Lambeau. And right now, we're seeing 2.5 that the Packers are getting.
Yeah, and it was 3.5. So, because Jordan Love looks like he's trending towards playing. I like the Lions to cover this number. They are the healthier team.
Rams at Seattle at Lumen. Seattle's getting 1.5.
Rams kind of own them. There's no question about it. Seahawks will, though, bounce back at home and win this and cover it.
And last but not least, Colts, Vikings, Sunday night at the bank in Minneapolis, Minnesota, laying 5.5.
Like Flacco and the Colts to cover this number. How about that?
Oh, and they're 7-1 against the number. There you go. Adam Kaplan, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Adam. Great stuff. Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class at a Heisman with those two games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those two games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. What is he, a sixth-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Last night, Columbus 2-0 over the Islanders. Winnipeg 6-2 over Detroit. Kucherov had a big game. Tampa 5-2 at Rado over the Avs. Utah 5-1 all over Calgary. LA. Kopitar had a big game. 6-3 over Vegas in LA. And Hischier had a big game for the Devils. 6-0. They win in Vancouver. Let's look at tonight's games. Seattle and Toronto. I like the Leafs at home. St. Louis and Philly. I think the Blues are better. I'll take them. And they're getting plus money. Plus 122. Penguins at home over the Ducks. The Ducks have been giving people problems, and the Penguins stink. It's high risk at minus $1.90. I'll give you that. I like Washington at home over Montreal. Carolina at home over Boston. Edmonton's in Nashville. Predators are starting to pick it up and play better. I kind of like them tonight at home at that price at minus $1.26. And Chicago's in San Jose. I mean, I don't want anything to do with this game. If I had to, I'd probably take Chicago. South Florida names Ben Fletcher, the interim coach, after the shocking death of the young 43-year-old head coach Amir Abdur-Rahim last week down there. Unbelievable today. This story, how it's come full circle, and now Fletcher takes over. Let's get into some Ferrall finish skinny here. By the way, Jake the Snake, my man Jake, getting involved today for us instead of Luke. I am your father. I had no idea the whole day that it was Jake doing a kick-ass job. Nice job, buddy. Along with Mafia. And Luke's sneaky. You never know when he's out, where he is, what he's up to. He's nothing but trouble. I'm looking into it. Channing Tatum, who the women love, is now on the market after he and Zoe Kravitz have called off their engagement. So they break up just in the nick of time before marriage. Olympic snowboarder from Canada wanted for cocaine distribution and murder. Now, the guy didn't matter. He never even came close to like winning a medal or anything like that. He did compete as a snowboarder in the Olympics and was atrocious. So in turn, he turned to a life of crime involving a huge drug ring, selling blow all over the world and killing people, allegedly. I mean, I think the story's way better than him being a snowboarder, is him being a failed snowboarder that turned into a coke dealer that killed people, allegedly. I think it's just way more interesting, at least. I think that life is clearly more exciting than being a failed snowboarder. A 62-year-old Florida surfer, Gnarly Charlie, they call him. He survives a shark attack, and he was back in the water days later catching waves. Your boy, Gnarly Charlie Mafia. Amazon jacket-wearing menace knifes a man in the eyeball in the New York City subway, which is hell on earth. And then he slashes another woman with a razor. My guy was out with a knife and a razor, chopping people up during Pharrelloween. Golf pro Kelly Brook accuses partner at Bethpage Golf Course of stealing $300,000 and trying to frame others, including an autistic teen. It's one thing to steal $300,000. It's another thing to start blaming an autistic kid for your crimes. I mean, honestly, a Christian school staffer got the students to pose for porn and then sold it along with their worn underwear. I have heard it all, Mafia. My guy at the Christian school getting all the kids to pose for porn shots and then selling their underwear on the side hustle. That is just awful. A juvie security guard accused of grooming an inmate and then forcing him to record their sexual rendezvous. What is happening in these prisons? I mean, we got the juvie guard training the inmate, grooming the inmate, and then forcing a sexual rendezvous. It sounds awful. A viral American Idol singer who smooched, actually kissed Katy Perry, busted with a massive stash of child porn, allegedly. Had it all going when he was trying to make out with Katy Perry, and then eventually turns to a life of child porn, allegedly. These are horrific stories. What we really want is all the kids to have a great Halloween and get all the chocolate their teeth can handle and get cavities so the dentist can make a bunch of money fixing them. GTD is next. Go to PharrellOnTheBench.com. We'll see you tomorrow on a Pain-Free Friday at 3 on Coast to Coast.
Contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carlos Alcaraz has won the last two Grand Slam titles at the French Open on the clay and at Wimbledon earlier this summer. He enters as the favorite.
You have a bunch of depth there. Francis Tiafoe, Ben Shelton, they will likely play in round three. The winner would play Djokovic, most likely, which would be an incredible match. I like Ben Shelton as a sleeper. If Djokovic is hurt, you never know. I think Shelton could actually be the guy that gets hot. The conditions favor him.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The leftover language would be the million shy of what Jefferson makes Jefferson a better player. If you want to believe that, I'm not sure I buy that he's that much better than CeeDee Lamb.
Tony Pollard's gone. He's now with the Titans. I was with the Titans a couple weeks ago. He'll be their starting running back there. They're going a different direction in Dallas, but it's all about CeeDee Lamb right now, the first of the other deals that they have to get done.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on